Hello everyone, welcome to Yorkshire Gamer, and it doesn't happen very often here, but I can say we are excited. And we are excited because of this little gem in front of me. Real-time Wargames, Dell'Arte, Della, Guerra. Appalling Italian, but a fantastic set of rules and a fantastic resource for us here. Those of you who've followed us for a while will know that Italian Wars is the latest big project to hit the table with a big game just before Christmas. And one of the things that came up on Twitter, I think it was the search for a campaign system for the Italian Wars. Search no more. We have found our goal. Now, I've got to be honest, I've never heard of this company, Real Time Wargames. They seem to publish most of their stuff via the Wargames Vault, which, those of you not familiar, it's like a one-stop shop for all things Wargames to download PDF-wise. In fact, the Christmas game that's ongoing at the moment, World War One, this cloth. The PDF, the JPEG or whatever it is, the picture that was used to print this cloth off was bought from Wargames Vault. So Real-Time Wargames, they relatively small company, and this book is available for, I think it's £10, £10 PDF, I think you will prefer. When I've gone through this video, for £20 you can get the actual hard copy book, and the benefits of that are massive, and I will show you why very shortly. So initially I'm just going to go through the contents of the pack. I've obviously bought the printed out version for 20 quid, and when you see what you got, I think you'll find that it's super value. And then I'm going to do a second video, and I'm going to look at the gameplay in relation to it. So I'm just going to take out the inserts in here because we're going to talk about those in more detail shortly. But the book itself is relatively nicely produced, fairly old style, but you know, we're not buying 30 quid, 40 quid's worth of hardback book with 2 pages of rules and 365 pages of stuff that you already know about how to paint your army and nice pictures of soldiers. So very basic, old school, it's nicely set out. Pictures of figures and stuff in there, and some nice tables and what have you, and generally very, very nice. So there are 2 parts to this book, and the first part is the part that I'm interested in, which is the campaign system. You can see the index there, and we're going to talk about the campaign system in the second part of this video. It's the main reason I bought this book. That's what I need. I'm quite happy, or happy-ish, with the rules that I've got for Ozio, with a few in-house tweaks. So I'm going to be using that to fight the battles that are generated as a result of this campaign. There are tabletop rules in here. I think by the admission of the company themselves, they're fairly basic. They're fairly fast playing. I'm not going to review them in this or subsequent videos. It's just something that we're not going to use. So unfortunately, we're not going to talk about that. If it's something that you want to have a look at, by all means do so. Very straightforward, the flick through that I've had, and will make a pretty good fast game. So for your 20 quid you get this book, which we've had a look at and we'll go back to when we talk about the campaign itself. And then you get a number of heavy paper, I would suggest, rather than card, items to help you with your campaign. You've got this sheet here that you use to keep a track of the money that you have. Then there is a timeline chart. Hopefully that's just about fitted in. That you use to keep track of each year and the progress of the campaign. Then there is a movement chart. So basically, rather than having a map, you move up and down this particular chart and have sieges and loot areas, and we'll talk about all that later on. But that's how you generate your battles. And then there is a fast play sheet for the rules themselves, which, as I said earlier on, we're not going to use, but if you freeze that for a second, you'll be able to read it and have a look through there to get an idea of those rules. So the campaign system itself is perfect for what we were looking for. So it is based in the early years of the Italian wars, just prior to the French invasion. And each player involved, and you can have up to 6 players, takes the role of a condottiere, somebody who has put together an army and will hire them out to the biggest bidder in times of war. And then each year, very briefly, we'll go into this in more detail in the second video, but very briefly, each year 2 armies or 2 city-states. There's Naples, the Papal States, Venice, Milan, etc. One of them will be at war with one of the others, and the condottieri join one side or the other, do a campaign year, and then obviously try and gain prestige, try and gain money, try and gain land, and compete against each other within the frame of a larger war in the north of Italy. It looks fantastic. It looks like it's going to work really well. So we're looking forward to getting our teeth into that. And in the second video, I'll run through a little bit of gameplay in relation to that. But I just want to show you in this video the remaining contents of the £20 printed pack, which is the one that I've got. And I can't recommend this high enough. In the £10 version, you basically get everything I'm going to show you now, but you have to print it out and you have to get it mounted on card for you to use. And for the sake of 10 quid, I'm going to suggest that this is the way forward. So first up here, we've got a deck of cards, and this is for the School of Sforza. More quality Italian there for you. I'm going to be using this as an English to Italian translation video, I'm sure, in the future. And this is basically an assistance for the rule set. So when you're a condottiere, you will choose to follow the School of War of either Sforza or the School of War of Braccio. There's a subtle difference between the two. It doesn't particularly make a lot of difference as far as I can see. There's a little bit of variation in the cards, and as you can see now, I forgot to get these up, but that's the second deck. So when you fight a battle in the course of the campaign, you can use these deck of cards based on which school of warfare that you've decided to follow. And you randomly draw them at the start of each turn, and it gives you, as you can see there, a slow advance. All units can move up to half speed straight ahead, or on the Braccio, recover 1d6 bases and flags, officers across the wing, and then move forward half speed. They're not designed for other sets of rules, very specific to the sets of rules that come with the book, but I think with a bit of tweaking, we'll be able to get them to fit with Furioso. So I am going to try and use these when we come to do our campaign. So I'll just put those 2 decks of cards, and if you look at them, they're fairly thick, reasonable card, like a pack of playing cards. So well worth the value. We also, in the deck have another set of cards of the same size, again, which is sort of playing card size, and these are objectives, and you use these during the course of the campaign. You draw them at random, and it's your objective for that campaign season. So lovely. Well, they're all really nicely done, nice pictures on them, nicely laid out, and decent sturdy stuff that you can use. Next up, we've got some unit cards. So during the course of the campaign, these are purchased or obtained by various methods, and each city-state has a number of force cards, just by random. We've got Venice at the top there. So if you drew this at random, you would obtain a unit of knights and gendarmes, and then it says 2 flags, 2 officers, which is generic to the rules in the book, and you would also get a unit of handgunners. So there's 10 cards for each of the major states. There's differences between the two that reflect the units that were available to that particular army. Some armies would have more Stradiates, some units would have more knights, handgunners. Just depends basically on the major city involved. So we've got Venice, we've got the Papal States, we've got Milan, we have the French, and more about those later on, and we have Naples, and finally Florence. So when the big boys, the big guns, are in battle, they use those to randomly generate the armies. And then we have these force cards. So these are the same basically as the major state cards, but we use these for each of the individual players. So the Orsini family will be 1 player, typically upside down. The next one, Colonna, is another one, and De Roma or Romana. God, my Italian is appalling. And Sforza. So you get the gist. And you can buy these at random to increase the size of your forces, and you get what you get. So if you did that, you'd have a mounted crossbow, an arquebusier unit, and a crossbow foot unit. Or you could obviously get an upside down one. That one, unit of knights and a unit of crossbow, a unit of Lancia Sea Sergeant, handgunners. So there we go. I'll just put those down. And then the final thing in this box, bag, is some more unit cards. Not unit cards. These are sort of game cards, and these are used during the course of the campaign. And the things that will track. So the attacking states war chest, that's used on the money counting track that we saw earlier on. Malteser, if for that particular condottieri, that's one of the cards that tracks his money. So all very nicely done. As you can see, it's all got the crests of the families involved. So there's some time and thought and effort gone into this, I have to say, and I was very impressed. And the final little bag of cards is some more similar sort of game cards. So that's when you owe some brass to somebody, when you lose some, when you're having a siege, withdrawal markers, fight markers, loot markers, fortresses. All lovely produced, fantastic. So that is the contents there of the printed version, and as I say, I think 20 quid for that, as opposed to £10 for you getting all those cards and printing them off and backing them and putting them in plastic coating, etc. I think it's an absolute bargain. So there we go. That's a little review of the contents of the unboxing, I think it's called in the YouTube world, and then I'm going to come back and do another video about some gameplay shortly.